saw, beginning of January, I saw some tweets by Robert Jenrick, and I was appalled by the content of them. They were just horrifying. Robert Jenrick had made the decision, and rightfully, I think, to just say what's gone on elsewhere. And no hiding it, no making it more palatable. He literally said, "This is what it is. This is what's gone on," and you couldn't hide it. It was horrific, and it haunted me, and it haunted anybody else that saw it. And it made me question, well, Blackpool's never had an inquiry. We've done lots of different things, but we've never had an inquiry to review it. So I thought, actually, I think we should do something. I think it's time we, as councillors, took that on. So I spoke to the group and issued a statement that we should be in part of this inquiry. And yeah, I was just so upset about it, actually, what's gone on when I read it. And then, we put a motion forward, very non-political motion. Wording was very sensitive, very caring, very respectful, and a big reminder that this is about the victims. No one else but the victims. They're what matter. And if anything, in terms of politics, it was going to be the Conservatives who took one on the chin here, because we were the ones who haven't done anything when we had power on child grooming gangs. In terms of inquiries and so on. So the first thing I do when I stand up is I apologise. And I generally meant that. I'm so sorry. I'm going to say it now. I am so sorry. 14 years as a councillor, not doing anything, not asking for an inquiry. And I'm ashamed that I didn't. And now, and at the end of that speech, I say, I've made my peace with this. Now everyone make theirs. And let's do this. Let's call for an inquiry. And let's ensure Blackpool's included in it. Now, when I stand up, there are a number of people, members of the public, who attended that night to watch, and they were there, very respectful, and they held up some posters about Charlene Downs, one of the poor children that's gone missing 20 odd years ago, and at this point, as I stand up, the council cut the broadcast. I disappear. So the broadcast is still running, but I disappear. You can't hear me, you can't see me. It's I'm doing my speech. And I only find this out afterwards. So nobody sees me say sorry. And I was really annoyed about that, because that's so important in this topic. Always about sensitive language, respect for the victims, and so on. So my broadcast gets cut. And the reason is, going to the council, they were concerned what was going to happen, and it was like, well, nothing was happening. You could see what was happening, and so I make my speech. Councillor Michelle Scott, my deputy, she stands up and she says, and makes a brilliant speech, and she says, I'm equally appalled what's gone on. She'd also read the Robert Jenrick tweets, and she then says something absolutely crucial, that she had had a text from the Lancashire Constabulary saying that beware of child grooming gangs in your area. So this thing's still happening. This is happening in Blackpool today. And the bit about the inquiry that I wanted to cover specifically about Blackpool is that it should have about coastal areas, impacts on why, because coastal areas have lots of people coming and going. It has amusement arcades, has all the sort of things which have children in them, that attracts children, and therefore makes them more vulnerable. And none of those things seem to be being discussed. So I'm thinking, right, okay, but the Labour group have put an amendment into this motion, and they basically watered it down so much that they're not even going to write to the Home Secretary and ask her to include Blackpool, and they're just really going to wait the outcome of the what the Home Secretary is going to propose in Easter. And I'm like, well, why don't you want Blackpool included? And I'm just totally bewildered at this point. It makes no sense to me, because we're not asking for anything, just the basics, that this would only benefit Blackpool. So I stand up, and now this bit is broadcast, and you'll see it below. It's towards the end of the video. I actually say, well, I'm really angry. I feel ashamed. I'm just, because I'm really wound up by all these things that just don't seem to work anymore. And I say, well, you've opened yourselves up to the accusation. I won't say it, but others will. You've opened yourselves up to the accusation about what you got to hide. And and I'm not going to be part of this anymore. And well, then it erupts on the other side, and Councillor Ivan Taylor, you can hear him shouting, um, and um, and then it gets to they put this amendment in, they have a vote, and as it gets to the vote, where they do a recorded vote which puts your names to it. At the end of that vote, Councillor Ivan Taylor, I've written it down here, so shouts out, "We're doing it." And then the place erupts. All the public are really angry. It's like we're not at a football match. We're meant to be respectful for everybody, victims past, present, and we're all like, what? Councillor Jim O'Neill absolutely rightly calls it out and says, "Look behind you," and says, the picture of a young girl there, and how can you be, just what are you doing? And this is the point. In the video, this council take this down, and they edit all that out because they're worried that things are being said. And people are rightly angry, though. They've been so respectful. And then, so you'll see this amended video now that's gone out. So you won't see my speech, but they have then tried to find some sound, and they put some of the speech in now, but it's all black because they didn't record it, which I'm really angry about anyway. And then you've got obviously this. So I'm just so angry about what's gone on this week. Our finances, council allowance increases. Then you've got what they've done on this. I'm just like, how is this town being governed so badly? Blackpool deserves better. And I'm like, my anger levels are like, so I literally say, I'm fuming, I'm ashamed. And as soon as that meeting's over, I just walk out. I'm going home. I'm just fed up. I'm so cross. Can't continue, and I'm going to keep calling it out. So what do I intend to do about this issue? Well, as leader of the Blackpool Conservative Group, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to write to the council. I'm going to ask them who was the portfolio holder for children's services between 2003 and 2007, who was the scrutiny chair of children's services between 2003 and 2007, and who was the cabinet assistant for between 2003 and 2007, because I've got the information for everything else, but I haven't got that. And then I'm going to put all that information together, and I'm going to formally write to Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary. I'm going to formally write and ask her to include Blackpool in it and other coastal towns, and what's happened to the victims, what's happened with county line gangs, the criminal element of all of this, in terms of driving drugs and God knows what around the place, and then make sure Blackpool's included in terms of what's gone on in the past as regards the abuse of children sexually. And I'm going to include our MPs, I'm going to write to Robert Jenrick, I'm going to contact the national press, and I'll make sure that Blackpool is included in this, because I am so angry about what's gone on this week, and I'm not going to stop doing this. Now, people have said to me, "Oh, be careful, because you've got to make sure that you're okay, because you don't know what happens threat-wise or whatever." So I tell you now, I'm not going to be threatened by anyone on this. I'm going to keep calling it out until we make sure Blackpool is included in any inquiry. And because I'm just appalled at what I've seen this week, and I'm going to get to the facts. I'm going to get the facts. I'm going to get the truth. I'm going to be very polite about it, very respectful. But for the good of Blackpool, this cannot continue, because I am very, very angry. Thank you for watching. I'll put the web cast below. I'll put the my motion and the their amended motion below it, so you can see what they've what's gone on. But thank you for watching, and please continue to follow, like, and subscribe as we carry on this journey to get to the truth of how Blackpool is being run. But it's just not good enough. Blackpool deserves better.